Hello and welcome everybody, I am SocioPsycho, and today we look at HaloSpartanAssault by Vanguard Games and 343 Industries. Now this was originally on Xbox and Windows Phone, and it is now ported over to yours truly on the PC. And let's go into seeing exactly what this has, because it holds the title of Halo, which many of us may hold a certain special feeling for. When we go into the settings, you have your different input controllers. It does offer you controller options if you don't want keyboard. For all the keys, there's really not all that much to it, and all the keys are easily rebindable with no issues found. You have your cinematics here, which go over just a little different movies. For your video settings, you have a wide berth of screen resolutions, but you don't have too much in the graphic options, and the game looks fine the way it is, and because of the way the style is, not to mention that it was a port, it doesn't look bad at all, and nothing is really needed from it. The sound and music are quite good in this, as you would expect from a Halo title. It actually lives up to it, and the fact that this is a $5 game, some could even contest that the $5 would be worth it alone just for the soundtrack. Now, let's go and explore exactly what sort of things are in this game. And you have your achievements here, which is achievements, obviously you know that. Your medals, here's where things get a little complicated, so stick with me. You have medals which you can gain repeatedly throughout each map. You can gain one medal per map, per mission, but there's 4 pages of them. So you could, in theory, get every single medal. Well, I mean, this one's a vehicle, so if it doesn't have if the map doesn't have a vehicle, I know well. But you could get the medals here, and these give an increase in XP, and that increase in XP will be valuable, as we'll explain later on. Now you have leaderboards here, which is actually quite nice, because it's not just a, hey, who wins the most, or who plays the most is going to win. It has you really have to have a level of skill and determination to try to get to the high top. Yes, playing again and again will no doubt help, but the system is crafted so that if you really put the effort in, then you will rise above. The assault ops are missions. Now these missions, there are different types of missions for each single map. And these missions will reset, or new ones will come up, or I'm not sure exactly what the deal with that is, once a week. So these are weekly. So if you get these missions, think them as secondary or third style objectives. You have your main mission, and these are just little side things that increase your XP a little bit more by completing them, which is quite nice. And it does have a tutorial system. If you need a tutorial, you could just look at the game key configuration if you're used to these styles of games and just go from there. But you have as well 30 missions in all through 6 chapters. Each mission has a score system attached to it. So if we look here, we have 40, 80, 105,000. These score systems represent how well you've done through the map by how many enemies you've killed. But it's about killing the enemies in a combo. The higher you can maintain your combo of back-to-back kills, meaning you have to be faster, you have to go stronger, will increase your score, which will relate back to the leaderboard. Each mission has its own little introductional reading campaign, and each chapter has its own little cinematic. The story in this game, while it only concentrates on a tiny little bit of the world that is Halo, or the lore, it does it in a very nice manner. It describes exactly what's going on, and it's well written, well voiced, and there's really no issues in the story at all. It plays like you would expect from a Halo game, it sounds like you would expect from a Halo game. Before you go into the selection of the actual mission, we have a loadout and a difficulty. Now, if we look at the weapons here, this is where XP comes into. As you see, I have 7,256 XP right now. These are the default weapons they give me for this mission. I can switch my primary or secondary weapon to one of these, which are more high-tech weapons. If you don't want one of these weapons and you're like, well, I want one of the other ones, when you kill enemies on the battlefield, you can get their weapons and pick those up instead. But these ones are definitely, I'll showcase them to you later because I want to talk about vehicles first, but these ones really have some punch to them, and they make the game feel even better than they are. The armor abilities, there's auto sentry, which a stationary drone. There's a seeker drone, which just blows. It's like basically dynamite on wings. And then you have a shield. And of course there's sprint. All of these abilities play very nicely into the game, as well you have a booster. Shield booster increases Spartan's shield recharge speed, increases damage output, increases score rewards. So you have these little levels of customization to make you play even more, and the missions are long enough to where it doesn't pose any negativity on the mission because of your choices. You also have skulls. You have 6 skulls, you can choose 2 of them. Now these skulls pretty much just increase the difficulty of the game. The Spartans only have has a shield. This right here, you have allies on multiple maps. If you select this, they will no longer shoot, they will be meat shields pretty much. So you'll have to do more of the fighting, which is, but it increases the XP. If we look here, shields and armor deplete while firing a weapon. So if you shoot just randomly and crazy, you're gonna end up killing yourself. Dropped weapons have much less ammo. So if we look into that, we click this and our XP modifier went up. Shields on recharge only from melee attacking enemies. We click that again and our XP went up again. Now this offers not only a intrigue in difficulty, because each map is slightly different, and so you could end up picking something for a challenge purpose on a map, and it really just turns something that was normal or difficult into a nightmare. And that level, that slight tiny little bit of tweakage or mechanic in the game is really nice for replayability. And virtual HUD elements are hidden, so you don't get to see your health, or your shield meter is pretty much your health, and your weapons. Thunderstorm enemies are more challenging, so they're more difficult. So when we jump in the game here, it runs very smoothly, and it feels very smoothly. As it looks as a top-down style shooter, it handles beautifully. I want to talk about the vehicles first, as they represent majority of the vehicles that you've come to know in the game of the Halo series from both sides. I've experienced what they have. Now, I haven't seen a Warthog. They all, -1, handle extremely well, very receptive. They have weight and character to them. There's a bit of a concussional feel when you pop the blast cannon off. It has a strong, satisfying feel to it, which lies in tone of the entire game. Now, the only vehicle I actually have a problem with is the human tank. And strangely enough, even though the human tank handles pretty bad, is so powerful and feels so good and so fun to attack things with, the handling of it is pretty bad. The game has a astonishing amount of surprising weight to it, and not something you may have expected. It is simplistic and it is beautiful, but it doesn't overstay its bounds. When we look at the UI, you have your mini-map on the top left side. You have all your weapons that you can alternate in between, your grenades and your weaponry. One issue I found is that sometimes switching between weapons, it may trigger your Steam hub, so rebinding that is probably the best thing to do. The main complaint I think I would have with this game is how, even with the game full screen 1920 by 1080 or any other, it has this outline. It doesn't actually incorporate you into the game, and it sort of keeps you in this like box field. So it's like I'm looking at my monitor, and on my monitor it looks like I'm looking into a monitor. Once you get into the game, it doesn't really distort your gameplay too much, but it's just more of a nitpick type thing. It's one of those things that's gonna like bother you and be like, oh, that's ugly. But once you really start running around killing everything, it doesn't exactly break it, but it's still an uglier UI layout that they decided to put. In the score menu, you have, you see your score bonuses and everything else to try to get to the top, and you have the medals that you were able to get for this turn. So now I want to show you exactly what I was talking about with the tank, human tank, being extremely powerful, but also with a little bit difficulty of handling. It just feels so nice. It just destroying. But the controls while maneuvering are not as smooth as the other vehicles I found. As you see, like, I'm moving all over the place. I'm really actually trying to go straight, and it has this need. It's like it's like I need to take this back to the shop and get some maintenance on it because it pulls. And there we go. No, I want to go this way. Nope, that. So it continuously pulls, and that's one issue that you have to deal with. And like I said, out of all the vehicles that I've ran into, this is the only one that I've had an issue with. And it is manageable. It is completely manageable, but it is a little bit frustrating and takes some getting used to handle it properly. It definitely doesn't run as smooth as the other tank. let's pop out here and show you some more of the mechanics. So you have a multitude of abilities that you can hit with your Q, and what abilities you take in, you can either change or you can find new special abilities like I'm looking at right over here. And this one sends a clone of myself. So if I actually did that properly, he would have been distracted by the clone. But what's more entertaining is how powerful the hand-to-hand combat actually feels. So as you can see, this one handles actually very well, and it's it's not as fun as playing as a tank, but it handles very nice. It's just easy to slide right over or just run stuff over. And on the top, you do have to keep in track your health, otherwise you may just blow up and die, and that's not good. So you have a multitude of weapons to pick from as you go through the enemy. You can have the human grenades and the covenant grenades, which you may be familiar with from the other series. And the grenades feel very good. They have a lot of weight behind them. It is actually quite satisfying. If you throw a grenade on top of a troop, he will actually run towards you before the grenade blows up. You get to stick on him, and he'll try to blow you up with him. So that's something you need to look out for. So let's look into the Spartan laser and show you exactly what that bad boy is, as well as the secret drone, because I found those ones to be pretty fun. So these are the items around the world that you can actually pick up, and the one you take into battle will still be there. And the speed one is actually very nice, and in some missions and battles it's just so enjoyable to use. But we'll stick with the one that we have. Now the weapons in the game and how it feels is what really matters, because the style of the game actually looks very good, and when I've been playing it, it plays at 60 FPS with no issue. But the weapons are what really matter in a game like this, and they are so satisfying. The combat and the power that you feel is just very satisfying. Whether it be the SMGs, assault rifles, the pistols, they all hold and represent power pretty similar to what you would expect or remember from the actual games. Now, as you can see, my score is rising quite, fast here, and that is because the more kill combos you get, the higher your score will actually rise. The allies are not, your allied team members are actually quite useful. I have not found the enemy or the allied AI to be all that stupid. They take advantage of what opportunities they have, whether they be defending or attacking. And one thing I enjoy is how you have a connection with the rest of the world, because it's not just, okay, this is my map, this is my mission. You'll see other things going on which make it feel more like a Halo game, because it's all about the environment and the atmosphere, and it stays very true to this feeling of an entire battlefield going on around you. We pick up a shotgun instead of the SMGs, which feel very lovely. And again, the shotgun has great feeling to it, and what's just really nice is how heavy the melee attacking is in the game. The weapon system and the combat system done in this game has been perfected to a T, and I would really expect no less. Now, there are many parts in the game where you have the option or the choice to actually get into a turret, and as you see here, the turrets are, yet again, I've never really enjoyed turret sections in games because it feels very limiting. And this doesn't limit you to it. It says, hey, this will make it easier, but you don't have to be stuck in a turret if you don't want to be. On top of the fact that it's very satisfying. Most turret sections in games are like, hey, fight a turret and you're going to be fighting, really tough opponents or 5 guys who you really just have to, put a lot of effort into. And that's frustrating, but with this you have so many enemies, and it's just, the weapon is very powerful. The range upon what you can throw for grenades as well is very beautiful. You can basically throw a grenade all the way to the side of your screen and it'll arc it very nicely, and that helps in the killing aspect, because it takes you and it says, hey, you're not only somebody who's going to be extremely powerful, and you truly are a Spartan, and that's what matters as keeping in tone to the Halo style-esque of the games. I found it to be a very satisfying experience, and at times even a very challenging one. The AI is not stupid, and they'll take advantage of anything they can, and every single weapon in the game feels appropriate. I think really the only thing the game is missing is a co-op option, but for that to work, the maps would have to be a little bit bigger, and I would love to see that actually. I mean, I think it would really make the game even more long-lasting. I mean, there are obviously things you could do to make it even better. I mean, imagine how far this could go if it had Steam Workshop and co-op. It would just be beautiful, but it doesn't, and we have to take it for what it is, and it actually is good for what it is. So, if you're worried about this game being sort of just another port attempt at taking your money, don't worry, because this is actually quite entertaining, and it feels good, and I would definitely recommend it to people who are interested in this sort of thing. It's simplistic, but it's satisfying, and that's what matters. Thank you everybody for watching. I have been SocioPsycho, and I'll see you next time.